Alright. Well, I was hoping that the whole net neutrality thing would be done and over with already, but we still got fucking dumbasses going on right now. So, that's fucking epic. Okay, and for some odd reason, the system is not wanting to play well with me right now. Hey Danish, hey Bullet, how's it going? 1 second, I'm trying to figure out what the hell's going on with my live stream. For some odd reason, it's super low on speed. The vote hasn't already happened. I didn't miss that, right? That's happening on the 15th. Why in the fuck is my internet speed crappy? Whatever. Hey, love, how's it going? Alright, so it's saying my shit's gonna be fine, so whatever. Alright. Oh, I'll just have to go with this. Whatever. Alright, but now this guy I typically agree with on a lot of his stuff. The guy is typically pretty well rounded. His name is Troy Leavitt. I believe that's how you pronounce it. If that's not, sorry, whatever. But the thing is he made a video. I linked it down in the description. Son of a. All right, it looks like it's up and running now. Looks like it's at least somewhat stable. Is it better for you, Bullet? Oh well. But so he made a couple of videos on net neutrality. One where he's sitting there and saying that the Title II being removed isn't going to be a big fucking deal. And to be perfectly frank, he's being a naive retard in his video. And I don't like to say that about him because the guy's usually pretty on the ball. But he's sitting there and saying, well, you know, this didn't go in until 15 years ago, and before 15 years ago, everything was running fine. Yeah, except for the fact that these companies kept pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing to try to go ahead and do more and more and more. And he keeps bringing up, you know, these deals and that sort of thing. Well, yeah, because the thing is a lot's changed since 2015. Now we have a bunch of groups that are calling for silencing of people, that are boycotting companies, that are boycotting advertisers, so on and so forth. And so now internet service providers and all that are scrambling to try to find are scrambling to try to find revenue. Well, here's the thing. Another big change that's happened is now these ISPs are squarely in bed with cable companies. In fact, a lot of them are cable companies. And we've seen cable companies going after news sources online. You know, the non-legacy media, or alternative media, as some people call it. Hey, Malcolm, how's it going? So, what is my problem with this guy's argument? This guy's argument is based off of well, they're still a competitive nature to this situation? Well, I'm about to destroy his fucking argument. In most places in America, you have one, maybe two internet service providers in the area. That's it. There is no more competition. These ISPs have purchased, bought out, or driven out of business the smaller ISPs. You know, the ones that would actually have to compete in this scenario. They have all but eliminated competition in their areas. In fact, a lot of them have this little tentative agreement to not step on the other's toes. They've basically broken up our country into territories that they cover. So it's not competition driven. By their own business practices, they have made themselves more akin to utilities than they have to regular competitive businesses. So that right there doesn't stand up to scrutiny. Another claim that he makes toward the end is that, well, if this doesn't work out, then the FCC can just go ahead and reverse it again. Except for the fact that the FCC are unelected bureaucrats. They aren't in elected positions. We, the people, can't directly affect them. They should not be in charge of these decisions. Because the thing is before, when it went into play, the reason why this went into play was because of the pure and simple fact that the US people were saying, no, this needs to be a fucking thing. What they are doing over and over and over again is getting tiresome. For us, for the consumer. And Troy, those investigations that the Federal Trade Commission does take a long time. In some cases, years. A lot of damage can be done there. The internet is a lot of people's gateway to information. You aren't taking that into account here. We've seen how the internet affects political discourse. It affects elections greatly. And we've seen how these legacy media companies are unwilling to give us the facts. They actively try to block it. They actively try to discredit the facts. And you're wanting to go ahead and trust these internet service providers, who are also cable providers, that have a vested interest in legacy media coming back to prominence, to just do the right thing. For us, for the consumer, for the people. You're sitting there saying, well, they're saying that they're not going to go ahead and do this, even though history has shown that they're more than willing to do it. They're more than capable of doing it. Yet you want to go ahead and deny that. You're sitting there and looking at one source sitting there and saying, well, a lot of these either didn't happen or were quickly solved by the Federal Trade Commission. Actually, those investigations didn't conclude from the Federal Trade Commission in most cases, because the companies were like, oh shit, and backed off. But with the way that the new setup is the Federal Trade Commission would actually have no authority to stop what these companies are wanting to do. All the companies have to do is sit there and say, yeah, we're going to go ahead and provide preferential treatment to our own products. And then it's completely fucking legal. It's not fair business practice in any way, shape, or form. Not when it comes to the internet. It will allow them to actively censor as long as they tell you that they're censoring it. That is the problem with your stance here. And I'm not a pro-government person. I don't like the government having a lot of power. But in this case, the threat of that governmental power needs to be there to keep these companies in check. The very same companies that would absolutely love to either get rid of their competition or weaken their competition to be able to drive them out of business. You're a businessman. You should know this shit. Now, Troy, I usually agree with a lot of the shit that you do. I do. I love watching your videos. But in this one, you definitely stuck your foot in your mouth. You stuck your foot so far in your mouth that if you wiggle your toes, you're going to tickle your asshole. When it comes to net neutrality, these companies need to be forced into this. Because they are more than willing to go ahead and do whatever it takes to make themselves the most money that they can. Take a look at at cable prices and plans. They nickel and dime you. Oh, you want this? Be an extra $5 a month. Oh, you want that? Oh, well, it'll be $40 for a season. Oh, you want this? Oh, you want that? All of a sudden, you're at $200 fucking a month. For what the internet at this point has to offer at a base price. What this will be doing is it'll be consolidating money into one area. It'll be consolidating power into one area. And if you think, even for a second, that this can be easily reversed, you've got another thing coming. Because once this goes away, these very same companies can go ahead and censor any dissenting opinions that they don't like. Like, oh, I don't know. Let's say, oh, I don't know. Maybe a politician that wants to come in and reinstate this. That would put people in to the FCC. That would reinstate this. All of a sudden, you're not able to get any access to their websites or to any information regarding them that isn't pre-approved by the internet service providers who have a vested interest in this never coming back. Well, that's freaking awesome, Danish. Danish says at home in Denmark he has a 100 gigabit connection, and it costs him around $17 a month. Well, Danish, I'm going to ask you something. Please reply quickly on it. I have a 15 megabit per second connection. How much do you think it costs me? I'll go ahead and wait. Try 50. $50 a month. The US has the worst internet out there, pretty much. We are at the bottom of the pack when it comes to internet prices and connections. But one thing that we have head and shoulders above other countries is that our internet isn't censored. The only things that get censored, the only things that get taken down legally are stuff that is actually illegal, like child porn and so on and so forth. That's how we have it right now. And that actually brings me in to another argument that I've been hearing from the anti-net neutrality crowd. They're saying, well, the thing is these companies getting this extra money will go ahead and they'll invest it in new infrastructure and it'll improve the services and so on and so forth. If you think that they're not going to jack up fucking prices, then, oh, my sweet summer child, you are a fucking retard. Do us all a favor and don't breed. I mean, hell, Comcast is already sitting there and making sounds in the direction of fast laning. In other words, what they're going to do is they're going to make so if you pay them money, you actually get a faster internet connection. And it's going to be an absorbent amount of money. I guarantee you that. Which is going to drive up costs across the board. Because the thing is these companies are going to have to drive up their costs to make up for the bribes that they're going to have to pay to these ISPs. And yes, I am calling them fucking bribes. They're not fucking business deals. Just like in Washington, those aren't donations. They're bribes. So, Troy, you're sitting there and saying that these companies that have a history of trying to nickel and dime people aren't going to go right back to that as soon as the stuff that got put into place that stopped them from doing it. Really? Really? As soon as that shit's gone, you think they're not going to go right back to that shit? And these same companies also get tax breaks and so on and so forth from the government. They're not hurting for fucking money. And even with all those tax breaks that they've been getting from the government, making it so pretty much if any business got that level of tax breaks, they would be able to turn a profit, no fucking problem. They're still saying, we need more money, we need more money. No, they fucking don't need more money. If they want to charge more money, they need to up their game. But this right here is going to allow them to charge whatever they want by carving up the internet into bits and pieces. And if you think that's not what they're going to fucking do by way of fast laning, blocking, and throttling, then you're a fucking moron. They have a history of doing this shit. And it shouldn't be on us to constantly have to fight, to constantly have to call them out. Oh, and by the way, we're not going to be able to call them out. Because any watchdog websites, oh, guess what are going to be some of the ones that get completely and totally throttled, if not blocked, right out the fucking gate. This is actually going to allow them to determine what information we are and are not allowed to view and how much we have to pay to view it. Period. End of story. These companies are not your friend. These companies are not your buddy. They do not have your best interest in heart. They have their wallets, their own bank accounts, and those interests at heart. They view you as nothing but an intermediary between them and your bank account. Just like with any other business out there. And you going out and spreading this false information, I would call it reckless, except for the fact that you know for damn sure that I am right on this. That's the reason why you're bringing nothing but weak-ass arguments against it. I've seen you bring some excellent arguments against other people, yet it seems like you put in the absolute bare minimum argument here. Something tells me that deep down, part of you knows that you are absolutely wrong on this. Something tells me that this is only that part of you that wants to give the benefit of the doubt to everyone. This is the part of you that thinks that people aren't inherently greedy. It's the real world, motherfucker. Wake up. Everyone is greedy in their own right. And these people at the head of these companies didn't get there through philanthropy. They got there by being cutthroat. They got there by doing what needed to be done to make money for the company. And doing it in just a slick enough way to where they didn't get fined. That is how they got there. That is how these corporations have grown so big. Hey Acid, how's it going? But I am so sick and tired of hearing shills for these companies promising that they're not going to do all this negative shit. Here's the thing. They wouldn't be coming out and saying this shit because they preempted it. They preempted the backlash. They started coming out and saying, well, even if this got taken away, we wouldn't do all this shit. Yet before it's even gone, they're already making noises in that fucking direction. If you think that they're not going to do everything that they said they wouldn't fucking do, you're a goddamn fool. And if it sounds like I'm angry, it is. But I am so fucking sick of clueless morons like you opening your mouth on this. You try to sound like you know what you're talking about with this, but you don't. And I'm an old timer as well. I know what the internet was like before net neutrality. And guess what? They tried over and over and over again to nickel and dime you into the dirt. Hell, I remember when they charged by the minute. I remember the days of fucking dial-up. I remember the days where the internet wasn't even a fucking thing. Well, Acid, basically the prep of it is on the 15th, the FCC is trying to get rid of net neutrality. They're trying to hand all that power to your ISP. How do you feel? Yeah, I had a 56K modem in the past too, Danish. I remember my internet access being limited to those free AOL discs. I remember a time where if you wanted to fucking see titties on the internet, it literally took you all day to download to get to the top of the nipple. I remember that shit. I know my internet history. And the thing is once net neutrality went into place, there were a lot of limitations that were considered commonplace. Oh, fuck you. There were a lot of limitations that were commonplace that suddenly went away because they suddenly became fully illegal. And those limitations will instantly come back into play. And for some odd reason, OBS is fucking up again. But I'm going to be completely fucking honest. If they go ahead and they take away net neutrality, the absolute best that we can hope for is for another ISP to come out and not agree to these little tentative rules. And actually come in to all these areas and provide competition. That's the only hope we have. But guess what? The odds of that are exceedingly slim. Hell, Comcast wanted to come up to the area that I'm in. And guess what? AT&T had a little meeting with my local government. And all of a sudden, my local government said that Comcast couldn't come up here. Because then it would have been a three-way street when it comes to internet competition. Well, AT&T can't have that now, can they? That's the pie split up too much. And speaking of AT&T, I think it's funny that this is going ahead and happening right now, right as AT&T is trying to buy out Time Warner. We've seen merger after merger after merger, creating the monsters that we have today. Internet service providers are in bed with this shit. They are in bed with old school media. Legacy media. You know, news broadcasters, so on and so forth. That's the problem. Because these internet service providers are not neutral. They have their own vested interests. And they will do whatever it takes to go ahead and make that money. They'll nickel and dime us. They'll block dissenting opinions. They'll block whistleblowing sites. And they will block any and all information, except for negative information, on the internet about people who want to come in and reestablish the current system that we have. To be perfectly honest, if I had known that Trump was going to go ahead and put this motherfucker in charge of the FCC that he did, I wouldn't have voted for him. Just on this alone. This is the level of importance that this has. And you saying that this isn't the end of the internet as we know it? Let's go ahead and bring up something else here that you somehow magically didn't bring up in your video. The government has been shown to be using the IRS to try to silence dissenting opinion. Well, if you put all of this power into the hands of these ISPs, well, then that just makes it that much easier for the IRS to come in and enforce whatever rules the current dictatorship that we have wants to go into play. And I'm making my arguments based off of things that have already happened. That we already know to be true. That we've actually seen happen. So, Troy, from every sane individual on the internet, I know there are very few of us, I want to say, shut your fucking mouth. Stop talking out your ass. And stop assuming that you're not going to be hit by this just like the rest of us plebs. And on that note, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to end this live stream. I got some shit to fucking do today. Go ahead. Call your representatives. Go ahead. Email them. Blow up their fucking inbox. But be professional and concise with your concerns. And let them know that anyone that's backing this is going to be out. Because remember, these motherfuckers only talk in votes. Because we can go ahead and still block this. In fact, I'm going to be putting a link into the description after I'm done with this. But I'll go ahead and read this for you really quick. There's a representative. His last name's Maloney. Is actually trying to introduce a bill that will stop the FCC from fucking us all. Quite frankly, I hope it passes. And at this point, this is me siding with a goddamn Democrat. If I remember correctly. I think this guy's a Democrat. But there's an article on it. I'll go ahead and I'll put that link down in the description. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and do it right now so I don't forget. So, here we go. There we go. It is now in the link is now in the description. So, let's go ahead and just be completely honest here. Your arguments, Troy, have not disproven the concerns of the vast majority of people in this debate. You have convinced no one. The reason why your previous video got so much hate, so many fucking dislikes, is because you're talking out your ass. You haven't a leg to stand on. Because you're trying to deny the past. Well, guess what? You got fuckers like me that are here that are more than willing to call you directly out. So in this instance, go and fuck yourself. Have a nice day, everyone else. Talk to y'all later.